Grace and peace, everybody. Fani Willis is back in the news yet again. She finds her subpoenas, but let's go back in time just in case you might not have remembered all that. That's Fani. Let's go.
With Fani Willis, that Fani Willis went rogue and targeted President Trump and other Georgians, I wrote the legislation to form the Senate Special Committee on Investigations to subpoena Willis, put her under oath, and get to the bottom of her scheme of prosecution for personal profit. Because when it comes to fighting for the rule of law, we delivered, but we're not done.
What can I say? I lived the experience of a black woman who is attacked and over-sexualized.
I think that what citizens are really, really concerned about is if you chose to have inappropriate contact with employees. I mean, there's nothing that I can say on it other than it is distracting. It is certainly inappropriate for the #1 law enforcement officer in this state. And it really, really saddens me. And it will be very unfortunate if the taxpayers of this community have to pay for any of those lawsuits.
Exactly.
On May 15th, Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis received a letter from the United States Senate highlighting her misuse of $500,000 for a youth empowerment and gang prevention center and $2 million for the sexual assault kit initiative. Instead, she spent those funds on traveling. In light of potential prosecution and disbarment, I respectfully ask Fani Willis to resign, effective immediately.
The woman responsible for Donald Trump's mugshot appeared in a Georgia courtroom today for a hearing about whether she should be disqualified. Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis, who's charging Trump with election interference, hired her lover to prosecute the case, paid him hundreds of thousands of dollars, which he used to take her on romantic vacations, foreign and domestic, and didn't disclose the relationship to anyone and didn't report any of the gifts he gave her at all. When Fani and her lover, Nathan Wade, were caught, they both lied to the court about when the relationship started, saying they started sleeping together after she hired him, and also claimed Fani paid Wade back for all of the trips. But right as the hearing began, their entire defense blew up when an eyewitness, Fani's longtime friend and employee, testified under oath that she saw Fani and Wade going at it.
Did you observe them do things that are common among people having a romantic relationship?
Yes.
Such as, can you give us an example?
Hugging, kissing, just affection.
All before November 1st of 2021, correct?
Yes.
That alone is grounds for Fani's disqualification and destroys the Trump-Georgia case for at least 2 years. So Fani and Wade's lie didn't even last until lunch.
Bombshell new audio appears to show a whistleblower privately warned embattled Georgia DA Fani Willis that her top aide was abusing federal funds. Now, in the audio, Willis appears to agree with this whistleblower and say that she'd look into it. Yet a little less than 2 months later, the staffer who raised the concerns was fired. Let's take a listen to that audio.
He told everybody in front of Crystal, Deontay, everybody, we're going to get MacBooks, we're going to do that, we're going to get swag, we're going to use it for travel. I said, you cannot do that. It's a very, very specific grant. Took me off. I questioned Junior DA. There's kids in there from out of the county, all this. Took me off Junior DA. I did not want to do it. He made it look as if I wasn't doing what I needed to do because I questioned him. Because I knew for a fact Mr. Cuffey respectfully did not know what he was doing, period. Cuffey, and this is my personal opinion, to one woman to another, is dangerous to your administration. He tells people, when I reached out to you, he told me, you think your word is safe? Exactly when you reached out to Miss Willis, she called me and told me, she tell me everything. So once you reach out to her, she's going to reach back out to me. So I didn't even go to HR because he put Dexter's name on my PDP and I didn't even feel safe going to anybody.
For about 3 hours, a Senate panel gathered for the third time at the Georgia Capitol as they continue to investigate Fulton County DA Fani Willis and accusations of misuse of funds for the hiring of Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade for the prosecution of former President Donald Trump. Willis and Wade admitted to having a romantic relationship. Among those who testified today was Fulton County Commission Chairman Rob Pitts, who said he would support a potential law change for oversight of district attorney expenses.
There are times when we just disagree with what's on the books, and that's the position that I find myself in.
The panel is expected to produce a report at the end of its investigation that could feature proposed changes to state law for budgeting of district attorney offices. The panel's chairman, Senator Bill Cosworth, revealed they have invited Willis to their hearings, and if forced, they have plans to subpoena her.
She's a key part of the investigation, and her viewpoints are valued by us. We need to hear what she has to say and her explanation and what she thinks the appropriate rules ought to be going forward, so we don't have this kind of scandal giving Georgia a black eye again in the future.
Willis appeared at a community event Friday morning ahead of the hearing, criticizing the panel's investigation.
Isn't it interesting when we got a bunch of African-American DAs, now we need Daddy to tell us what to do?
The Senate committee investigating Willis is made up of 6 Republicans and 3 Democrats, including Senator Harold Jones, who called this investigation a waste of time.
There's nothing else to talk about, quite frankly, and we found that out today, because that's the only thing I basically learned was how to become a Fulton County Commissioner. Nothing involved the state of Georgia today. Nothing involved the Georgia State Senate today at all.
Did she get back to you today?
Yeah, we subpoenaed her. Not yet. I just talked to her staff.
Is she supposed to get back to you today?
Yeah, she's supposed to get documents.
Well, did you hear from her boyfriend?
We haven't. So I was talking about this in the office, and I said Fani Wade, and it was like a Freudian slip, you know, like Fani Willis and Nathan Wade. So no, we haven't heard back from her yet. We'll see what we get from her. But there's a whistleblower in her office who we have talked to, the committee staff. Yeah, and she, the whistleblower, I think she's like 4'11", but Fani Willis had 7 police escort her out when she fired this lady, because this lady raised the concern that Miss Willis was not spending federal funds and not following the grant, the rules of the grant and the grant dollars in the appropriate manner. So she raised this concern, and then Fani Willis fired her. She's now talking with our office.
And I wanted to just bring us back up to speed and end on that so that we can kind of talk about it, because the issue at hand is not really about the Trump case or not really about the extramarital affairs with her married boyfriend. Georgia Supreme Court to hear Fani Willis subpoena dispute. What is she disputing? Let's go. The Georgia Supreme Court has agreed to hear Fulton County DA Fani Willis's appeal over whether a state Senate committee can legally subpoena her and her office to testify for testimony and records. Senate Republicans citing concerns over this is the issue, public spending and Willis's role in the Trump election case. Now, as far as I can tell from what I've read, most of it is concerned about the money. Now, Trump is coming into it, but it's not the primary issue. Now, it launched a probe after revelations of her relationship with former prosecutor Nathan Wade. A new state law signed by Governor Kemp expanded lawmakers' subpoena powers, bolstering the committee's authority as it continues investigating Willis and other prominent Democrats. Let's go. Georgia Supreme Court has agreed to take up the high-risk legal battle between Fulton County DA Fani Willis and the state Senate committee that has been trying to compel her testimony and obtain records from her office. The dispute stems from the Republican-led Senate Special Committee on Investigations, which was created after revelations about Willis's past relationship with former special prosecutor Nathan Wade. The committee has demanded that Willis testify and hand over documents tied to the 2020 election interference case, as well as records related to her office's interactions with the Biden administration and use of public funds. Willis has refused to comply, arguing the committee lacks the constitutional authority to subpoena her and is seeking protected information. A Fulton County judge previously ruled against her, prompting an appeal now headed to the state's highest court. Because this case raises constitutional questions, the justices were required to accept it. All right. Senator Bill Cowsert, a Republican, leading the investigation, expressed confidence in the court's upcoming decision. Nobody is above the law. We hear this phrase a lot lately, including District Attorney Willis, he said. A recent state law signed by Governor Kemp strengthens the legislature's power to issue subpoenas and conduct investigations, a key element of the case. So, what do we expect next? The Supreme Court is also expected to rule soon on whether Willis can resume leading the Trump election case after Georgia Court of Appeals ordered her removal last year. I'll leave the link to this down in the description as well. This is going to be an interesting fight, and I think we all know why, because there's so much riding on it. Fani Willis refuses to not be neck deep in this case, and I think that's going to be her downfall. I'm just going to say it like that. I think it's going to be her downfall simply because her doggedness in this case is really what's, dare I say, pride in this case is really what's causing people to not really support it. And I think it's going to make it more and more detrimental and more obvious when it finally falls apart. Because I think she's the only one still holding on to it, and the case is truly falling apart around her. But we'll see what happens. Let me know down in below if you've been following this case. I know we've been talking about Fani for almost 2 years. So let me know if you've been following this case and all the other ups and downs with Fani. There's a couple of videos somewhere on the screen around here that definitely will talk about those things and see what you think about them. I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. So let's keep the conversation going down in the comments. Everybody, thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for liking the video as well as for subscribing and helping us hit our goal of 50,000 subscribers. I'll see you all real soon. Until then, grace and peace.